And I would be, if I need to cry, I'd be having a big cry. And I would be acknowledging that obviously there's a lot of dysfunction in the world, but the higher path progression is to elevate out of that dysfunction so you could actually lift and help rise, you know, help that kind of collective presence rebuild itself, because I guess that's what the collective has to do over and over. It's almost like it gets kind of disrupted in places and then it kind of has to rebuild, and sometimes the rebuilding is the beauty to it, right? Okay, here I could just talk all day about this. It's really tricky because I was looking at work the other day. I was looking at cancer, I was looking at a whole lot of other things. It's really hard. A lot of these things, to be honest with you, serve a purpose, even what's happening in the world, because the world is sovereign and we have kind of taken her out of regulation, and she will re-regulate in whatever way she needs, with or without us. It does not matter, probably more so without so many people. So it's hard because there's this beautiful reordering presence, but yet it creates so much destruction. So it's kind of like, who do I honor? Who do I honor? Do you know what I mean? So then
Yes.
there's probably this disconnection from the earth that's occurred, and I feel unsafe even on that foundation. But it's that foundation, if supported in the right way, is so beautiful and nurturing. So it's kind of, I feel like it's like you've lost your, I want to say your home, or like that presence or that connection. Do you see all the interties that I'm talking about? Safety kind of comes from connection to divinity, right? And if I was connected to my divinity, I would be connected in the right place to the earth, because it has to happen in that re-regulation cycle. And honestly, more catastrophes will happen at that earth engagement level. It doesn't mean that the earth feels unsafe, because it's just an honoring process that, again, you know, she's re-regulates because she hasn't been honored. So there's a lot of energetics in it. So I would have to, if this was me, I would have to work through all these energetics. But at the moment, you're carrying so much trauma and grief for this kind of, I want to say, unfair model.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, it kind of is unfair, but let's be honest, people, it's kind of not. It's kind of like there's going to be more and more of these things, and it's devastating. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to downplay, I'm not trying to say it's not sad, but do you see the two sides that we're talking about? It's very hard. And while I get sucked in or stuck on these kind of sides, it's duality. It's the same as I think Kim was telling me. She started looking at all the stuff about elections at the moment. You go into kind of these pathways that hold so much duality, and it's like, I just have to realign with my highest truth. And your highest truth would be Mother Earth would always support me when I'm almost elevated in myself, and then I help to elevate others. At the moment, you're stuck in this trauma and grief cycle. Honor that space, because obviously it needs honor.
Yeah.
It needs kind of acknowledgement that that was terrible. And you know, it's almost like you've got to say to yourself, I'm not stuck in this anymore, and my central nervous system can calm down. Because
Yeah.
it's almost like something as traumatic as that will put the brain on replay. So then you can have things like, people will have a circumstance and they can create those PTSD pathways because it was so traumatic. And it's like, hey, I'm safe, but it was so traumatic that I was stuck in it, that it kind of has all these interlinks. And while you're still connected to all the suffering and the people that did die, because there's this kind of feeling so connected to them, it will hold your energy in the same space as if that was you. There's like, honestly, when somebody has one issue, there can be so many interlinks that you got to look at so many things. You know, there's so much disharmony. I can't buy into that modeling or those beliefs or those structures, because I need to be in the safest place in my own energetics and my own body, so I can help people that are feeling unsafe, right? Well, there's always been, it always will. It's also just, I guess, now we have media and we're privy to all of those things. Please don't say, again, I'm not discounting, you know, suffering and trauma. I'm really not. It's awful. But they will long play out, right? And so again, this right-wrong model, it doesn't work. If I was to buy in right-wrong, duality, for or against, it's the same thing, but it's a flip side of a coin. It holds me stuck in the same energetics rather than elevating to a higher level, which a higher level is passion and purpose and progression.